Reading with a child, isn't it a joy? It really is, and invaluable for their learning and their development. Actually, Betsy gets read to every single night, every single day. My husband or I sit down with her whilst she's just falling to sleep, and we read. Currently, actually gone through all the Roald Dahl books. Amazing. It's lovely to see a children's eyes light up, a child engaged with the story and talking about the characters as well, and indeed the plot. Oh, was he really inside a peach? But that's why my next guests are so very important. They're beaming in front of me, actually. Arch now is a charity that works in over 100 primary schools right throughout Oxfordshire, with around 250 volunteers, working with over 700 children each year. But they need more. Elaine Adams and Jane Rendell from Arch join me right now. It's lovely to see you, ladies.
Hello, thanks for inviting us. Yeah.
You said, well, always. You co-founded Arch, didn't you?
We did, yes. 10 years ago this year, actually. It's our 10th anniversary.
Oh, I'd have baked a cake if I'd known.
Well, I wish you had. We're going to have one later on in the year. Certainly we're celebrating. But 10 years ago, we used to run a national charity. It was called Volunteer Reading Help, which closed its service in the recession in 2008 in several different branches throughout the country. So we were made redundant. The service was going to stop. At the time, we were in a limited amount of schools. We had about 100 volunteers, but all doing this lovely job, really passionate about what they do. So we met with a few important people around the county who said, why don't you go just your own charity, start from scratch? We looked at each other and thought, oh, that's scary. But we had to do it. We couldn't let this service die. The children were enjoying the situation with volunteers coming in, reading with them. And we just had to carry on. So we started Arch, assisted reading for children. And from there, we've just grown from strength to strength. We now have, as you say, about 250, 260 volunteers. And we're in well over 100 schools.
Wow.
And we're helping children every day of the week in schools. So, about 700.
Absolutely fantastic. Because we talked, Jane, about literacy levels. And, I think we're pretty lucky in this county because we have some fantastic standards of teaching, and literacy levels are good, but they could always be better. But this is so rewarding, I should imagine, to go into a school and see a child's eyes light up, give them access to books and reading. There's nothing negative about this.
Nothing negative
total
about
joy.
it.
Total
Absolutely.
joy.
I would say that reading is not easy for every child, and not every child has a positive experience of reading in a school. And that's where our volunteers come in, really. Not every child is lucky enough to be read to at night. Some children don't have books at home. We think of Oxfordshire as a very affluent county, and it is predominantly, but there are pockets where, children just can't afford books. Lots of different family situations.
And lots of libraries are closed. Community libraries.
Bookshops are closing. We're losing Summertown Bookshop now. It's difficult for a lot of children. So our volunteers come in and do a brilliant job.
And what's the relationship between Arch and schools that you go into?
The schools really value the support that we give to them. I mean, obviously we say our volunteers are not teachers. Some of them are, in fact. We've got a lot of ex-head teachers, academics in the county, obviously. But their job as an Arch reading helper is not to be a teacher. It's to share a love of reading. And it's something that the teachers don't have the time to do. They're teaching their phonics, they're teaching the children the wide curriculum they have to do. So to actually give the child one-to-one, to actually listen to them, hear about their interests, what they might like, what they don't like, find that perfect book, something they can't do. So they really appreciate someone who's got that time, can give half an hour twice a week to the children and one-to-one basis, and actually discover what that child really enjoys.
We were talking about mental health and university and all that kind of stuff during the Cat and Co conversation earlier, and what sort of so much comes back to is the quality, the standard of teaching and the time, but the ability for a teacher to get to know a child and a child's individuality and their talents and their gift, because I said before, every child has a gift, but not always is it recognised. So this is giving some time to a child.
Yeah.
To understand who they are and their individuality and their gift as well.
Yeah. And be listened to. I mean, sometimes that half an hour in that child's life is the only time they're actually one-to-one, 100% listened to by an adult. So it's really valuable time. And our volunteers know that. I mean, they come just to help and to give something back. And when they actually engage with the children and they go away after and think, I know that child mentioned they like bit of skateboarding, a bit of this. They'll find a book on it. They'll find a newspaper story on it and bring it in at the next session. And the child knows then that they've been heard, they've been listened to, and it makes them feel good. Self-esteem is built in that way.
Jane, this so, and I'm sure it does now change, the course of a child, changes their opportunities.
Absolutely.
And the outcomes in many ways.
That year is such a precious time. Twice a week for a year. You imagine what a difference that makes to the child as an individual. It can change the whole course of their life. So it'll change their attitude to reading and change their lives at school and beyond.
Confidence.
It's a life, confidence, self-esteem. So actually it's far more than reading, but we do it via books. So it's a happy half an hour for each child.
What ages of children are you helping?
Primary school. So we say not 5, because 5, they haven't quite learnt the basics, the phonics, learning to read, although we do sometimes work with 5-year-olds, but generally from 6 to 11, so primary school age, where maybe they've had the lessons, they should know their phonics, but they're just not switched on to it. They're not quite up with the rest of them. So a little bit of one-to-one, a little bit of understanding and listen to them will really make them catch up with everyone else. And, after a year, as Jane said, a year of volunteering with that child will really make a difference.
Give me an example of the difference that it's made, perhaps, to a child. There must be stories that stick out in your mind.
Well, a recent story, a volunteer, they always feed back such lovely stories to us, but a volunteer recently working with a child, started working with a little boy in September, reluctant reader, your typical thing, hadn't really found the right sort of books. Working with him twice a week, discovered a love of Dennis the Menace. That was the thing. So I think it was about January, February, he suddenly started, she said, I think he's actually getting this reading thing. We've been 5 months getting the reading thing. Now, he said to her, do you know, I take Dennis the Menace to bed every night now. And Mum doesn't need to take the iPad in the car anymore because I've got a book.
Isn't that great to hear?
Job done.
Isn't that great to hear?
Great to hear for the volunteer.
And Dennis the Menace, that's sort of like the comic. Is that the more comic strip?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not just the sort of the normal standard book, as it were, because some children do they respond better to something like a comic.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we say in Arch. Anything is good reading, and we supply a box of books and games as well to use in the session. And they're not the school books. They're not the books that they're learning from. Maybe the Biff and Chip and the phonics books. They're different. They might be comics, they might be newspaper reports of a football match local to them. It can be anything, and a selection of things is in this book box, and it's a fun, exciting box for the children to look in and find something that they're going to find in there that they're really going to engage with and enjoy.
A friend of mine's grandson enjoys Farmers Weekly.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So, when Absolutely. You say, any reading is good reading.
And that's brilliant. And we promote that, that's fine. You don't have to stick to a reading scheme. With Arch, you can read whatever you want to read.
Financial
and it's your
Times.
Own enjoyment.
Thames Car Manual is a popular choice. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Honestly.
So future Jeremy Clarksons.
Yeah. Sometimes depends on their volunteer, because obviously
the volunteers are always learning as well. That's the thing.
Yes. We have some quite elderly, lovely ladies who know all the football, Manchester United football team.
Why do you love? Why what sort of inspired you when you were younger to love books?
I've always loved reading, as long as I can remember. I can remember Enid Blyton, Famous Five, those sorts of things. I can never remember not enjoying books. And then when I have children of my own, you discover it again. You rediscover the joy of children's books. What inspires us? I don't know. I guess it's home life, someone enthusiastic in your life, whoever it is, a friend or who can pass that enthusiasm on. What triggers it as a very early child, I don't know. We should all read from babyhood, shouldn't we?
Well, I think
having someone to share books with is vital.
Maybe, absolutely, but even before that, maybe we should read to our bumps as well.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
They say they recognise the voice and the
maybe
comfort, and it's the tone. Yeah. It's not just what it's actually saying; it's the tone and hearing that pleasant, repetitive voice. It's lovely for children to hear.
So Enid Blyton for Jane. What about Elaine?
I'm afraid it's Noddy and Biggie.
Well, that's the Enid as well.
I'm sorry.
Given the spotty shirt, I thought it might be 101 Dalmatians.
Another favourite of mine.
Now, you need more volunteers, though, don't you?
We do, absolutely. I mean, we cover the whole of the county. Oxfordshire is a very big county. You know, we're going right up to Henley, we're in Banbury, we're in Whitley, all over completely. So there's a lot more people who we need to recruit, and we know they're out there. Someone who just has half an hour twice a week, hour and a half twice a week to give to a school, local to where they live. We don't ask volunteers to travel, so it might be their local school in a local village or quite close.
So they can walk there, hopefully?
Ideally, they walk. We do cover expenses. If a volunteer needs to claim expenses, we don't want that to be something that would stop them from volunteering. They've got to be ideally interested in books and children, and just have that bit of patience, that bit of time, and wanting to encourage children to love reading. And it's the enjoyment we want to pass on, not the learning, but the enjoyment, actually in having fun.
Put the
and
fun
our
back
volunteers
into it.
do have fun. They have just as much fun as the children. It's amazing.
What do the volunteers, Jane, say? What feedback do you get from them?
We get tremendous feedback. I mean, we ask volunteers to commit for a year. And we're very clear at that at the beginning. So we want these children, these lucky children, to have a year's support. So we ask for a commitment of twice a week for a year. So it is a big ask of people. But most of our volunteers, as long as they're in the position to, continue year after year. So that in itself, I think, speaks volumes. They often come back. We have a 2-day training. Next one runs 7th and 8th of June. We need lots of people to join us for that. We have a 2-day training. We start the volunteers in school. There's ongoing support and training. We get them back after a few weeks once they've settled into school for a follow-up training. And so many of them say, do you know, I'm enjoying it so much. I didn't know I'd get so much from it.
Volunteering actually is a really good thing. And I've heard it even be prescribed by a doctor.
Yes.
For people to try out volunteering, because it's so good for your mental and physical well-being.
We have volunteers coming to us, and sometimes it might be after a bereavement. They might have lost their husband, wife after many years. They've got a bit of time. They're not sure what to do. They start quite meek and gently with our support, and once they get into a school, into that lovely environment of being in a school, they really blossom and grow, and it starts a new career really for them, and a new lease of life, and a reason for getting up in the morning as well. And also sometimes depression, different things like that. Coming back in a non-stressful situation, working with books and children in a lovely, no testing. You don't have to do anything. You have to enjoy and make sure the children are having fun and circled around books and games. So it builds their confidence as well, the adults and the children. It's just a win-win all the way, really.
Jane, tell me about the unexpected addition in Bisting yesterday.
Well, it was a couple of weeks ago at our training course.
Oh, it was a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
I beg your pardon.
This occurrence. That's why I looked a bit blank there. The last training course yesterday. I don't know. Yes, our last training course. Elaine will give you the full gen on this one.
Yeah, well, one of the ladies, when we was busy training, we had 23 new people coming forward, and they come from all areas of the county. There were judges and ex-judges. There was ex-head teachers, and a lady who I knew she had a small holding farming. She did tell me that there might be problems with the lambing. So she came in and she said, I'm sorry, but I might have to nip out at the break time because I've got a baby lamb in the car. It was born in the night and it's been abandoned. Aww. And she said, I have to feed it. We've never had that. Never had a lamb at training, I must say. But she nipped out, we gave it a feed, and the next day she came again and it was in the car all wrapped up in hay. We didn't actually see it until she sent us the photo afterwards. But it just shows that what busy lives that the people who come and do this volunteering still have. She's running a small holding there. She's bringing up sheep through the night. There's other people doing so much other things in their lives, and they still can spare an hour and a half twice a week to help children with the reading.
Because this is a big-hearted county. This is a wonderful county.
Oxfordshire is the best for volunteering. It really is. We've got the cream of volunteers in Oxfordshire anyway with Arch, but there are so many people doing so much in the county. We're very lucky to be in this county with so much giving.
Well, Jen, if somebody's listening and they think, oh, that might be for me, I'd love to get involved with Arch and reading to children, how do they get in touch?
Have a look at our website. That's archoxfordshire.org.uk. Give us a call at the office. So we're in Bicester, 01869 320 380. We're always happy to talk through it with people. If they're not sure, give us a call, have a chat. But if they are sure, having heard us, go on the website. You can download the application form and send it to us. And we would love to have as many lovely people as possible on our next training, wouldn't we?
Yep, June
from all
7th
over
and 8th.
Oxfordshire. June 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you all the best. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful project to be involved in.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, both of you, for coming in. Elaine Adams and Jane Rendell from Arch. Thank you both.